songs. favorite rock band from right here in California, Los Angeles. We are all the way on tour, so, you know, we really need to sell a lot of merch. Ah! That's a lie. We're from Calgary. I can't lie to you beautiful people. Alright, this song is called, what's this song called? Awake in the Dream. Yeah. we should probably play the next song, which is hip hop. Do you want to know why it's called hip hop? I'll tell you why it's called hip hop. It's because when you're playing in fives and you're an idiot, like me, they go hippopotamus, 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 and that is how you learn how to play in fives. So this is a song called hip hop.
Hey, how's everyone doing? And by everyone, I think I'm all alone, which is perfectly reasonable. I actually had no idea if I was gonna stream today. You know, it's Christmas, and I didn't know if anyone would care if I streamed today. So I figured I'd go out and do a stream, see if anyone wants to join in. Who knows? It could be just me talking to myself with the irritating restream.io message that says, "The chat is ready to display messages, just reminding me that I am a small streamer Andy, and that Christmas Day is not the day to stream." But, whatever the case may be, I have a cup of coffee. Now, I typically drink my coffee black. Not today. Not today of all days. Today of all days is a day to celebrate alcohol. And I didn't bring a spoon. Can you grab me a spoon? Eldest child walked in at exactly the right moment. Because I'm not using my finger, because it's toasty warm. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right. Oh, you hear that Christmas chinkle? That's the tinkle of Christmas alcoholism. And what better way to celebrate the holidays than drinking our way through them? Oh, that's lovely. Also, not the first I've had today, so we'll see how that goes. Apparently, my one of my children is trying to video chat with me right now. That's it's a pretty impressive thing when your own children don't care that you're live streaming. Just kidding. Yeah. Apparently I missed a call. Weird. Like I say, I don't know what I'm gonna do today. I was sort of figuring I'd ramble a little bit about whatever comes up. I might do some of my usual sort of commenting on the world around me. I will definitely do some of that. I'm thinking I might do a review Andy segment where we can look at some PragerU Christmas videos from days gone by. Because why wouldn't I want to do that? And just make fun of the PragerU people. But we'll start with a little story about what I think about Christmas. So this has always been a very difficult time of year for me. Not for good reasons, like everyone's always got like that. My grandmother died on Christmas Day, or Christmas Day was the day we found out that my love had cancer, or something. I don't have anything anywhere near as powerful as that. But for most of my adult life, Christmas was, my kids lived in a different province. That was not easy. Most Christmases I managed to be able to get out there, depending on finances, though there were times when I couldn't. But there's a flight that you can get. So I don't know how they do flights anymore, because I don't fly, because I'm poor. But at the time, what you would do is if you booked far enough ahead, like the farther ahead you booked your flight, the cheaper your deal was. I'm sure it's probably the same these days. But there used to be a flight from Kelowna to Calgary, Christmas Day at 5 p.m. Kelowna time, that was $75. Every other flight was like between $250 and $400. So I always grabbed the $75 flight, which means I didn't get Christmas dinner with my kids, but we would accommodate by doing we'd have a meal the night before, and then we'd have a Christmas breakfast with the opening of the gifts and all that stuff. So that was cool, but it was always in the back of my head, I'm going to leave. I'm going to miss all the rest of whatever goes on. And, that sucked. It was not my favorite thing. But then a few years back, several of my children moved in with me, and there's been a steady stream of children living with me ever since, and I'm super grateful for that. It's been fantastic being closer and more actively a part of their lives, and so that has made Christmas different for me. I remember actually when I used to live in this same house, like a decade and a bit ago, my first Christmas, my roommates knew that I was flying to Kelowna, that I'd be flying back Christmas Day, and they were like, "You don't have a Christmas tree?" And I was like, "No, who cares? Mopey." And while I was in Kelowna, they sent me a message, and they're like, "We got you a Christmas tree." And I got home from the lunch or the dinner time flight in, and I got to my house. I went to the basement, and there was a little tiny, this tall LED Christmas tree that I could plug in with USB to my laptop, and it was just the sweetest of things. So that was a cool thing. I'm not a Christian. Sorry, all you Christian people, the millions of the peoples that are watching right now, who all expected that I would, of course, be a fine Christian lad. But so Christmas as a kid, I grew up with in the church, and Christmas was a thing that was very important to me. And then that part of me died, and now it's just another day. But it is a day where you sort of can't help but be reflective and nostalgic and hopeful about the future and stuff. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for today's stream, rather than my usual bitter socialist rants about how stupid the world is. I want to have a happy day stream where we talk about how cool some shit is, because I think that's probably a better thing than being maudlin. But we'll see. Maybe I'll model it anyways. I see that there is a viewer named Ice Wizards. Nice to have you here, Ice Wizards. If this is your first time seeing me, I am in fact a small streamin' Andy, and probably the smallest of small streamin' Andys. I put no effort into growing my channel and being the next big streamer, because I have a day job, and I think there are better voices than some Gen X old man on the YouTubes or the Twitches going, oh, let me tell you, in my day, kids didn't even know what avocados were. Not that I would ever talk like that. But you know what I mean? Like, it's cool that I get to do this, and it's a fun thing that I get to do, and I don't approach it as a career. I don't approach it as like I should make money on this. In fact, I'm kind of diametrically opposed to the idea of making money through most of, like, anytime you get paid on these platforms, you're also giving money to horrible corporations and Jeff Bezos and people like that. So I'd rather just not make any money. I don't need any money, so that's cool. But my typical thing that I do is I rant about whatever's going on in the world, and I may do a little bit of that today. I might do, I was saying earlier, a React Andy with some PragerU content, because why not? It's Christmas. And then I always end with what I call my weekly humiliations, where I sing karaoke, often poorly. And we're doing some festive Christmas songs today. I'm going to do O Come All Ye Faithful, but the Twisted Sister version. And I can't remember what the other song I had in there, but sorry, Fairy Tale of New York, which I'm only one person. It's a duet, so I'll have to try and either fake the female voice or whatever. It's one of those songs that I always associate with Christmas, because I'm an old school punk rock kid, and it has some problematic words in it, which I will not say, but still a fine little ditty. So I got some coffee with liquor in it. I think we're good. All right, let me take a look at what I always keep this sort of running tally of stuff that I can talk about. And you know what? That's the top of the list actually comes up as something that might be a fun little conversation, at least for me. And since I'm me, that matters to me. So we're talking about, where's my fucking window here? Old man problems. I was watching this debate the other day, and they were talking, it was one of those hippy dippy challenge debates. And they were talking about healthcare in Canada. And one of the things I find interesting about these kinds of debates as a Canadian is when Canadians talk about things like gun rights, a lot of the time they get, shut up, you flappy-headed bastard, kind of stuff, which is, it's fun. We're good. I'm not going to don't be mean to Canadians. We're thick-skinned pricks. But when Canadians talk about, when Americans talk about Canadian healthcare, they don't understand. So I wanted to talk about our healthcare system. So we have universal healthcare. We've had universal healthcare in some form for a very long time, but it really became prominent when Tommy Douglas was the premier of Saskatchewan. And Tommy Douglas he did huge stuff to advance sort of a lot of social causes and things. And one of them that he considered to be a right of all people was healthcare. And if you're hearing noises in the background, it's my child grabbing his bong for a crisp Christmas hoot. One of my children. He's the 3-year-old. Just kidding. But yeah, so we have universal healthcare. It is by no means perfect, and it is by no means universal. You can tell by my teeth that there are things that are missing from our universal healthcare system. And I am a big proponent in the idea of adding dental to universal healthcare, because not just because I have fucked up teeth, because I'm poor and I've been a poor person my whole adult life, but largely because health and teeth are really hand in hand. There's studies that are showing that a large number of people throwing strokes that comes from the dental abscess. So dental abscess causes blood clots. Blood clots cause, your body throws a blood clot, and that can cause a stroke. Similarly, there's a lot of research in various academic journals that will say, hey, turns out when your mouth is full of bad things, that hole in the back of your mouth that goes into the rest of you, that's a way in for those bad things. So dental actually is an important thing, but I'm rambling. So we have a fairly good universal healthcare. If I was to get cancer, I would be covered. I'm sure there's additional costs that I would incur. I don't have cancer, so I can't speak directly to that. But things like that are covered. Medication is reasonably priced here in Canada. Everyone sees the comparison for insulin and goes, wow, why does Canada pay so little for insulin? Well, for one thing, we invented it. But for another thing, our system isn't run by greedy insurance corporations who are evil scum fuckeries. The big complaint that everyone pulls on and that they brought up in this debate was wait times. Oh, poor Canada with all their horrible wait times. And it's true, we do not have a fantastic track record when it comes to wait times, but that's worth exploring, because I think this is a point that's missed by, and no offense to the conservatives in the world, haha, just kidding, offense. It's missed by a lot of conservatives, and it's missed by a lot of people who don't understand the situation we live in. So wait times are not endemic to having universal health care. If you have free health care, it does not mean that you have to have long wait times and that your people are going to die waiting for MRIs and all of that shit. In fact, a lot of the time our services are speedy as all get out. Last summer, I think it was, I think it was what would eventually be diagnosed as a pinched nerve. Yes, that was it. I had a sore fucking shoulder, and I was like, I think I pinched a nerve. And I went and saw my doctor. Only my doctor wasn't there. It was some old grumpy man who did not speak medical properly. And I was like, here are my symptoms. They are exactly the symptoms of a pinched nerve. And he goes, I think you have COVID. And I was like, huh? And he's like, yeah, it's definitely COVID. And I was like, I have never heard of COVID presenting like a pinched nerve like that. There's no other symptoms. He's like, well, you probably were you probably were out of breath on your walk here. And I was like, no, I was fine. Because I don't have COVID. But he put the thought in my head, and I started getting really panicky. And then he got me to take my shirt off and do the ice cold stethoscope on the. And he's like, oh, I definitely hear COVID. I'm like, how do you fucking hear COVID? I understand you can hear pneumonia, and I understand you can hear asthma because they have unique sounds, and maybe COVID does. But this felt like getting diagnosed by a dog sniffing your crotch and being like, "Grover." But he freaked me right out, and he scheduled me for a X-ray of my lungs, because a COVID test would just be ridiculous, but a lung X-ray, well, that's definitive. So I was freaked out. So I got in to see an X-ray tech that day. Like within an hour, I was across the city going to see an X-ray tech, and it turns out I did not have COVID. It turns out I had a pinched nerve, like I said all along, and fuck that guy. He actually tried prescribing me like antivirals just in case before I left, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna fill this unless I actually need them, you tit. So it turns out did not have COVID. I had a pinched nerve, which is weird because no one saw that coming. But my point being, from the point where I got a diagnosis to the point where I was done my X-ray was like an hour. That was not a wait time. Now, if I'd had to have an MRI, absolutely, there's a wait time for MRIs, because I don't think it makes sense to have a ridiculous supply of MRIs. They're expensive machines, and they require maintenance, and they require energy, and they require all sorts of stuff and space to store. You find a balance for mixing wait time versus downtime for the device and all that kind of stuff. I don't think we've hit that mark, but I think that the idea that you just wouldn't have a wait time for an MRI is pretty ridiculous. So we have wait time problems. I will contrast that with stories I've heard, and again, these are stories, and I'm a Canadian. I don't know shit about shit when it comes to the American system. But I regularly hear people talking about simply not going to the doctor because either they can't afford it or because, well, no, really, it's because they can't afford it. So, my ex-wife knew a lady who, through one of her MommyNet internet forums, that was saying, yeah, I'm pregnant with our 76th baby. And, yay, what's the sex, what's the everything? And the lady's like, well, I'm not going to a doctor, not till like week 38 or something like that. Like, we can't afford that shit. The idea of that, like, that blows my fucking mind. That anyone would be okay living inside a system where you can make the conscious decision from a purely financial basis that, the potential benefits of seeing a doctor and the early detection of problems and all of that stuff, not worth it because the doctor's going to cost me money that I can't afford. Like, that's grotesque. This was not a poor woman. It was certainly not a rich woman. I'd say probably, if I was to speculate, I'd say lower middle class, working poor, had a job, probably had some amount of benefits, but the cost would have eaten up all the benefits just for being pregnant. That to me is really creepy. So we don't have that. So you want to talk wait times. If you're waiting 38 weeks to find out if your baby's going to survive, that's probably not awesome wait times, but that's just me. But the real question is, why do we have long wait times in Canada? And the answer is conservatives. Like, sorry. Every time we elect anywhere across Canada, you elect a conservative, and the first thing they do as they're tightening their belts is start cutting from healthcare. And they do it intentionally. And I live in Alberta. Alberta is a particularly shitty, capitalist-y, conservative place. We've had consecutive conservative leadership for years. And by years, I mean, like, with exception of a 4-year window in the second most recent election where we had an NDP or more liberal type of government, I think it was like 80 years of different parties, but always very conservative leaning parties in control. That's fucked. 80 years, that's fucked. But when Ralph Klein came around, His whole thing was we have to balance the budget. He was one of the early adopters of that fiscally responsible narrative that isn't really about fiscal responsibility. It's about small government. Now, I'm a libertarian socialist, and I'm for small government, but I'm for a different small government than Ralph Klein would be. So he wanted to cut public education. He wanted to cut funding for post-secondary education. He wanted to cut mental health. He wanted to cut everything basically except law enforcement and revenue things like lotteries. And when it came to healthcare, like he gouged our healthcare system. He blew up a fucking hospital without any plans to replace it. We just like, we don't need all of these hospitals that we have with, all the sick people. So let's just blow one up. And we didn't get another hospital for like, I think 20 more years in the downtown area. We at the time had two. The General Hospital was a general hospital. And then we had the Holy Cross, which used to be like a Catholic hospital and had basically been taken over by the province. And so it was a public hospital, but it still had the Holy Cross name. And it was a very small hospital. It had it was sort of extensive mental ward and some other stuff. But those were all things that they didn't want. So they kept funding to that. And eventually the hospital just went away and they turned it into like a strip mall type of thing. Because that's what we needed, was a strip mall. But my point is, conservatives have a nasty habit of looking at healthcare and public education and these kinds of systems, looking at them as if they were actually industries instead of services. And like that's a world of difference from the way shit ought to be. When something is a service, sorry, I'm just prepping something for when I take a pause. When something is a service, you expect it to cost money. It's a service that you are providing to all of the people, and that is a good thing. Yay, services. When we look at it as an industry, we start to say, okay, well, it's not making money. And that's a very important distinction. So in conservative perspective, healthcare is a business. And a lot of people that run healthcare services would love it to be a business because they can make all kinds of shit money out of it. I'm not opposed to people making money, despite the socialism. I recognize that we live in a world where, cash is king, and that's a thing, and it's okay. But, like, what can I tell you? This is the world we live in. And to me, I think this is a question of living our ideals. And I'm going to get into that, I think, in a little bit. But I think it's an ideal that I have. And it's not an ideal that everyone has, but it's an ideal that I have, that food, clothing, shelter, and sex are your basic human needs. Now, I'm not about to have the government provide sex because they'd be terrible at it. And, that sounds very incel-y when, the government should allot me a femoid. No, they should not. Maybe you should be worthy of a femoid. But all the other things, food, clothing, and shelter, I believe people should be guaranteed. And I don't mean, guaranteed to live in a mansion or guaranteed to have, like, slick drip, as the kids say. But to be able to, like, eat and have food on the table and not just subsistence shit food. I think that's an important thing that we should be doing. I think that education is a method of improving our people, and so therefore education good. And I think when it comes to things like healthcare, we shouldn't give a shit about whether or not it's turning a profit. We should give a shit about how is it affecting the lives of the people who live in this country or this province or this city or whatever. How well are we improving the quality of life of people? I don't think that's a radical thing. And I think that's where the concept of universal health care came from, was that everybody deserves to, you know, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, my American friends. Everybody deserves a certain amount of that stability and safety and all that stuff. And so we should just provide it. And inevitably, the conservative response is, who's going to pay for it? And the answer is, we will. Your taxes will. Taxes are not the enemy. Taxes are just a fact of life. And yeah, they're theft, you know, if you want to go down that road, but so is working for money and labor theft and wage theft and all the other shit. It's just a perspective on things. If we look at taxes as, this is the thing that I have to do in order for my society to have the things that are important and that follow the values that I have, I personally don't have a problem paying for that. I also don't have a problem paying for things that are outside of the things that I value. So, for example, I'm not a big military guy. I like guns, but I fail to see the value in today's world of a super military industrial complex kind of, like the U.S. model. I think that it leads to wars where it doesn't need to. And I think that it unnecessarily is divisive in the world at large. So that's my personal value. I respect that my personal value is not everybody's. And there are people who are very, very passionate about the idea of needing to have a strong and capable military. So my taxes go for military spending, and I don't like it, but I also don't look at that as an affront to me or something that would prevent me from doing my civic duty and paying my taxes and being, a contributing member of society. So when we talk about healthcare wait times, because I'm going to get back to that eventually, when we talk about healthcare wait times, the problem is underfunding. Again, there's always a sweet spot. I am not so leftist that I believe that there should be an MRI machine on every corner. I am not so leftist that every single person should be eating duck foie gras and lobster soup and rich food named X and, whatever. I don't buy that. I believe that there is room for competition. I believe that there is room for people to have, more or less. But I think that less there should be a bottom point where people are still looked after and still healthy and happy and whole. So when it comes to healthcare, you have to find that balance. You have to find that balance between the size and density of a population and the number of hospital beds, the number of MRI machines, the number of whatever the fuck. And if you can do that, or at least you work towards that, you will remove some of those painful wait times. American systems that have, the free MRI, not free MRI, sorry, the zero wait time MRI, it's because there is a glut of MRIs. There's so many that they can meet that need all the time. Now, that may be the right number. I have no way of knowing that. They have more than us, so they're available when someone needs one as an emergency. I don't think that's a bad thing, but I don't think, there's a balance. How much cost versus benefit? And I'm not talking about if it costs me $30 or 70 people die, let them die. I don't mean that shit. I mean, most of the time, if there's an immediate need for an MRI, you're getting in. It's not like the guy who comes in with a brain injury from a car accident and they're like, well, we'll schedule you for an MRI in 6 to 8 weeks. That doesn't happen. What could happen is that someone who's been waiting 6 to 8 weeks may get bumped, and that sucks balls. But that could happen no matter what. So I just found it really interesting because they're talking about, you want wait times and all this stuff. And the people who are more on the left of the conversation didn't understand what Canada's healthcare system looked like and why it was in the state it's in. The more you cut from a public service, the less that service is available. And that's sort of the point. Conservatives want to remove the government from healthcare because the idea of a for-profit model makes them stiff in their creepy little dungarees. The idea of private schools only makes that stiffy. I get it. I'm not for it, but I get it. And that's not the world I want. And Canada, one of the reasons that I have stayed here my entire life is that I believe at its core, Canada meets my criteria for the kind of values that I want to live. It ain't perfect, but it ain't terrible. And that's important to me. And so I stay and I pay my taxes and I do my part and I vote and I talk and I share and I sometimes will even protest because this country can do better. My big differential when I look at the difference between conservatism and leftism or progressivism, however you want to look at it, my take on it always is the difference is conservatives want things to stay as they are or move backwards to a better thing. The world made more sense in the past and we should get back to that. Make America great again. But the times that they can point to when America was great or when Canada was old stock or whatever you want to say, the times they can point to, that was pretty much only true for white men. And yeah, I said white men, sorry. I'm a white man. I have that privilege. That historically was the people who got away with it, the people who got all the stuff. And when we talk about going back to that, we are talking about disenfranchising people. Whether we like it or not, that's what we're talking about. I'm not cool with that. Versus progressivism, which is looking at the world and saying, there are things that we can do to do better. The old saying, different isn't always better, but better is always different. That's very valid. And so as a person, I look at the country that I live in and I say, it's pretty goddamn good in a lot of ways that benefit me directly. And overall, it ain't the worst for pretty much anyone who lives here. They could have a worse life elsewhere. But that doesn't mean that we're done. That doesn't mean we can't do better and make progress. And to me, what that looks like is elevating so that all the people have the same kind of privilege that I have. I don't want to lose privilege. I want everyone else to gain it. And that sometimes can feel like losing privilege because suddenly I don't have, my speech isn't protected as much because I can't say hate words, which doesn't really impact me. But, there are people who will take that as a real sticking point and be like, oh, that sucks that I can't be all hateful all the time. I used to have free speech. No, you still have free speech. But your responsibility for how you use that speech is perhaps a little more so than it was in the past. So that if you say hateful shit, maybe you will get banned. Maybe you will get in trouble. Maybe your friends will be like, you're kind of a dick. Maybe grandma will be like, you can get the hell out of the Christmas dinner. I don't know. It's not that we're losing privilege. It's that we need to raise everybody up. So I look at the recent real strength in the Indigenous community here in Canada, here in Canada, and I see so many different Aboriginal groups really finding a voice and really taking the opportunity to stand up and say, you know what, we're not okay with these things. We're not good with the way that shit's been going. Kitty Jerkface, Merry Christmas. Sorry I'm late. After cleaning up puke, I went back to bed and had a nice fest. and so you should. So I posted on my Discord, hey, should I do this? And Kitty Jerkface, I posted at like 6 in the morning, and Kitty was like, hey, it's 6 in the morning, you weirdo. But he was quick to say that yes, he would be interested in checking the stream out. So it's wonderful to have you here, my friend Kitty. I'm drinking some coffee with a little bit of rum chata. Not my first of the day, definitely not my last. I even bought an extra bottle. And yeah, we were just sort of talking about wait times in hospitals and why things is the way they is. How about you, Kitty? What's up in your world? How you doing? It's been a long time since I've seen your jerk face in person, so I hope you're doing well, and I hope that aside from having to pick up cat puke, you forgot rum for eggnog. Oh, my heart goes out to you. I have some dark rum here. And I have a bunch of beer, and I have this. It's called rum chata, and it's a horchata con rum, which is basically it's just a cheap version of Bailey's. You're very well. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Merry Christmas, my friend. And I will probably be doing the streaming either sometime this week or maybe even New Year's Day. Not much as new. Work, sleep, work. Yep, that resounds with me. Working from home, everything, like, time no longer fucking matters, and nothing really matters, and it's really difficult because the blend between my life and my work is blurry at the best of times. Yo, YYC Live Music, my eldest child. It's good to see you, my friend. Merry Christmas to you. Yeah, but I found, like, I'm usually really good. You walked almost 2 hours in that shit. That, for the millions of people who are watching from around the world, right now in Calgary, it is minus fuck your face outside. It is so goddamn cold. And so YYC Live Music, I do trust that you're okay. No frostbite, nothing falling off. Kitty Jerkface, I will never go back to work in the office. I'm thriving because I have my own lighting and no distractions. Oh, hell yeah. Like, honest answer. The company I work for, the floor that I was on, they got rid of while COVID was going on. And they were, like, saying that we'd restack everybody. And when we seriously looked like we might be going back into the office in September, my boss reached out to myself and the project manager I work with and was like, you guys are not going to come back into the office. There's no value in having you here. And yeah, it was so happy. I was completely okay with hearing that. I don't want to go back to the office. I don't ever want to work in an office again. I like the option of going into an office for meetings or whatever, but I also like the option of leaving the fucking office. I had to go in various times over the last little while to make training videos for the video conferencing system that we put in, because I'm supposed to train people and no one shows up. So that's a thing. But it's cool. I actually used my OBS skills as a live streamer. So I made some pretty decent videos with, like, this cheesy intro music, some of my Muzak that I will no doubt be playing while I step outside for quick pauses in the conversating during today's time. No distractions. It says it feels like minus 34. Yeah, minus 34 Celsius is legally the point where if your boss says, "Hey, come here," you're allowed to punch them right square in the dick, or boob. Either way, I'm not one to judge. Oh no, that's awesome! Awful. Oh, that was awesome. I love that. Yeah. So I'm 100% down with the working from home. I found that I've gotten better at it as time goes by, and knowing where to draw the line between I will allow you to take my time and not. I often, because I'm old apparently, so I never slept well in a day in my life. I sleep deeply and I sleep contentedly and I wake up good, but I don't get like that 8 to 10 hours sleep that everyone else seems to value. So if I fall asleep early, like I'm up at 4 in the morning and just wide awake, ready to go, and I can sign into work and work. And there were quite a few days in the beginning where I would sign into work at 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning, and then work till 6 or 7 at night. And I was like, wait a second, that's fucking stupid. Partly because they don't pay me for that time, but even if they did, it's still stupid. I have to maintain a healthy work-life balance. So I do that, and I've gotten better over the COVID times at doing that. So that's been pretty fun. One of the things I did want to chat about, and I don't have a whole lot of information in front of me or anything like that, but I wanted to celebrate the Christmas miracle that is the end of the Kellogg strike. I don't know if you guys are watching that or not, but Kellogg's had a pretty massive strike with loads and loads of their staff going and picketing and all of this stuff. And it's an interesting strike because normally when you hear about strikes, it's these darned workers, they want more money. And that was true. But Kellogg's had done something which I don't think is unique to them, but was very, very clever / sinister. They had basically said, yeah, we're going to meet your contract demands, but new hires, we're going to have a second tier of benefits, and we're going to save some money, and we're going to make sure that, like they'll have a health plan, but it's just a crappier health plan. And they'll have guarantees. They're just crappier guarantees. And if unions were about looking after yourself, the union would have been like, well, fuck yes, I want extra money and I'm getting it and someone else doesn't, but I don't have to care about that. But unions are about solidarity. And so they went on strike to make sure that they didn't have this multi-tiered system, and that, in fact, they do have a multi-tiered system because most of the people that get hired on in a temporary kind of role. One of the things that they were fighting for was reducing that difficulty and timeline between when you are brought in and when you become a full-fledged tier one, whatever you want to call it, employee. I'm 100% cool with that idea. That this was a union saying, we're not looking out for ourselves, we're looking out for all of the workers. And in the last, I think it was within the last week, Kellogg's met their terms. The staff went back to work. I'm still not very fond of Kellogg's as a corporation. And I feel very strongly that Kellogg's, they're not the good guys in this conversation, but they did the necessary. They signed the contract, and the workers can now go back to work and can go back to earning their full pay and all of that stuff. So that's fucking awesome. It's this year in particular has been really uplifting for me as a angry little socialist man, to watch organized labor really gaining some traction and doing so much good. And no more ants in Rice Krispie treats. Oh yes, yes. Or the singular flake of what I don't know if it was cornflakes or whatever, but somebody opened their box of cornflakes and it was basically one giant lump of corn goo that had been dried. Yeah, that was one of their attempts to prove that they don't need no union labor. We'll just have our management and the accounting department and all of those people will run the line and they'll make the food. And there's websites devoted to the genuine horror show that is what happens when untrained people work those jobs, and things like ants in the Rice Krispie treats, which sounds charming, but it's not at all charming. Things like the giant lump of a single flake in a box. And I mean, literally, like, it was the right size and shape. It just was one thing. Quality assurance, it turns out, is good. Who knew? Which is a difficult thing for me to say because I've worked with quality assurance people, and they are almost without exception really, really frustrating people to have to work with in the best possible way. I don't disparage them their job. The better they are at their job, the more they annoy the shit out of me. At least when I was in a developing type of role, because they hold you accountable to what you're actually supposed to be doing, and they have that kind of way of thinking and of interacting with the in my case it was software, interacting with the software that I was writing, that found the areas where I did a piss poor job. But no one likes to hear that. No one wants to be like, oh, look, I fucked up a bunch. That hurts. It sucks. So you are always grateful, or at least you should be always grateful for the role of the quality assurance person. But you maybe don't want to go for beers with them. I had a guy I worked with. I called him Johnny Albatross because he was a fucking albatross across my neck, and he was awesome. He was ridiculously anal QA guy. They gave him a bunch of responsibilities that he was not designed for, and he had some struggles in his job as a result. But I tried to help wherever I could because they were more in line with what I do. But he made sure that things were better than they would have been if his role wasn't there. Things would have gone really, really sketchy. So yeah, Kellogg's Corporation, quality assurance is important, and knowing how to do the job is important. We refer to them as unskilled labor, but if anything, that shows us who the unskilled labor is in this equation, because they've been trained, because they've learned the nuances of the machinery or the the products they're working with, all of that kind of stuff. There's a lot of skill that goes into being the bottom rung in that corporate ladder. And that's a perspective that needs to change. I used to work for this oil company, and I had a real fucking come to Jesus moment on that kind of topic. I had this project, and we were doing, it was for mobile device stuff. Basically allowing for the sort of the first steps into allowing people to have, corporate access on their devices, and how does that look? And I met with all the different teams. Like, I met with a huge number of teams to really understand what they wanted. And by and large, they all were like, I really enjoy the opportunity to check my email while I'm going number 2. That's basically what, and I was literally becoming disenfranchised with this project because I was like, there's so much cool shit here. Why are people focused on just shitting and reading emails? Like, I get that that's cool, but come on, like, this is an expensive technology, and how am I supposed to justify spending money on this expensive technology if you can't come up with a better reason than shit mail? And the last group that I met with was the guys that represented the people that work in the field. And I genuinely was not expecting much from them because you always hear about, well, these are people that they barely even have cell phones or whatever, and like they're not interested in this kind of shit. But the guys that represented them said, here's the thing: when you're talking about mobile devices, you're also talking about tablets. You're talking about all of that kind of technology. If we can use that technology to build forms that allow them to enter the information that they need to process at the end of their shift, for example, hit save, drive home, and as soon as they're near a valid Wi-Fi that they've got access to, it can send that via encryption into the main system. You build that, you remove the need for that person to drive the hour and a half back to the office every end of the day, and the hour and a half start time going out to the office first thing in the morning, all that stuff. That's 3 hours a day of driving that you've removed. And that person is most likely to die on the job behind the wheel. So you're literally doing something to actively protect their life. And I was like, whoa, That's fucking amazing. I hadn't even considered it like that. But this is the thing, is the ivory tower workers, like myself, we're not the ones that make the money for a company. We may help in direction, we may help in strategy, who knows what the fuck. But it's the guy doing the work. That's the valuable labor. And unskilled ain't the word for it. All right, I think it's time for me to take a quick break. I will be back shortly. I will leave you with some of my terrible music that I make. And yeah, that'll be a thing. All right, so music. Oh, wrong screen. Fuck, I hate being old. Music starting now. And I will be back momentarily. We go here and go here and do this. Mic is back on. Irritating thing is off of my face. The music is not that tab. That tab. There we go. Music is done. I'm the guy that makes the money and determines how much. Well, me and the 1,000 other underwriters at the company, at my company at least. That is totally true. Was I sassing on the insurance industry? I don't remember doing it, but it certainly wouldn't be beyond me. Yeah. Coffee, good. So for my weekly humiliations this week, my plan is to sing some Christmas songs. I am not a singer. I'm a musician, but I am not a singer, and that will become painfully obvious as I go down the road of singing. But it'll be good, maybe. But I've got my plans in place. I'm going to sing "O Come All Ye Faithful," but the Twisted Sister version, which should be pleasantly awful. I'm pretty sure I can do it. I'm pretty sure it's a different. My brain just emptied, but a different Christmas or Twisted Sister song that they just sing "O Come All Ye Faithful" over. So I found that song, karaoke version, and I just have the lyrics for "O Come All Ye Faithful." So that'll be a thing. And then I'm gonna do the Fairy Tale of New York, which is the Pogues' Christmas anthem set in a prison cell. And then after that, maybe I'll sing like a carol or two or something like that, and we'll figure it all out together. Yeah. I've been busily working on a project for Bodies of Everest. We have our first music video is going to be coming out, and I'm doing all of the video part. So that's been a fun little project for me for the last little while. That will be dropping shortly, and I'm pretty stoked. So yeah, things are well in the wild world of Big Ugly Jim. Coffee is so good, especially when you add that little bit of alcohol. Not that I'm condoning alcohol use, because I recognize there are people who have struggles with alcohol, and I don't want to diminish them and all that kind of stuff. But I happen to like this particular warm, lovely beverage on a cold, fucking minus 34 day. What else do we want to talk about today? One thing I was gonna put out there is it might be fun to have a bit of a React Andy stream where we talk of we look at some of the fantastic Christmas content of Prager University. Just a thought. PragerU is garbage. Just it's legitimate garbage, but they have content that is Christmas themed, and it seemed like a thing we could do. So I will leave that up to the chat to decide if we want to go down that road or not. I'm happy either way. Nice. I forgot my rum for. Oh no, that just re did the whole. Whoa. No, it didn't. I don't know what's going on. Something's happening. I feel like my chat is behind now. It is, isn't it? All right, I'm going to refresh the chat, and we'll see what happens. I don't have a whole lot of faith in my ability to do thoughtful things in a reasonable manner. Click the refresh button, and it's now gone, but that's okay, because we had a little break there and the conversation sort of stopped. Is anyone still on? I see that there's still Kitty Jerkface and Ice Wizards and Maddie and Son. Hello, Maddie and Son. It's now going from the top down. That's not what I expected. I don't know what happened there. That's because I'm old. Old people don't get technology. But you know what? I don't have to understand it. Mine is not to understand why. Mine is just to do or die. What do I see here? And there were new messages, but they're gone because top down. Oh, you have whiskey spiked eggnog incoming. I see that one now. Excellent. I'm glad to hear that you solved that problem, because eggnog on its own is kind of gross. Eggnog, when the value add of whiskey is involved, well, that's just good. And you were saying you're the guy that makes the money and determines how much. Well, me and 1,000 other underwriters at my company at least. And yeah, I don't recall how that directly related to what I was saying, but suffice to say, yeah, if you could clarify that, that would be super rad. I forgot. You forgot the lol. Okay. Well, either way, lol or otherwise, things are good. So how do you feel about the idea of looking at some PragerU video about Christmas? I'll give you a second to answer that while I just I had brought it up. I haven't seen any of these, but they have several if I switch over, there are several options. Yes, please. I love ripping on some PragerU anytime. All right. So these are the choices that are available to us. We have The Amazing History of Christmas. We have Just Say Merry Christmas. Do You Know the History of Christmas? Although this one I think is a live stream and 19 hours ago, and it's 44 minutes long, and I don't have that kind of love in my heart for PragerU. But we have The Amazing History of Christmas and Just Say Merry Christmas. So this one is 2 years old. This one is 5 years old. Which one would you rather? Yeah, we can do both. They're only 5 minutes each. Like I'm 100% down with that. And maybe we'll pick one, and then if the mood continues to be such that we want to do so, we will do the other one. We'll do a little React Andy. It'll be a thing. Because, what's Christmas without horrible mockery of, I'm pushing buttons and it worked. There are things. All right. Well, I haven't seen a chat response, so I'm just going to go with we'll do the top-down approach. We'll start with The Amazing History of Christmas. 2 years ago, the blurb says, how much do you know about Christmas? Let's just pause it, and I'll read the blurb real quick. Come here. Scroll down. How much do you know about Christmas? About its origins and its many beloved traditions? Do you know where the idea of stocking stuffers comes from? Or how lights found their way onto the Christmas tree? Or why we all have the jolly red-suited, white-haired image of Santa Claus in our heads? In this video, historian William Federer explores the holiday's rich and unique history. I know a lot. I used to be a Bible school teacher. Yeah, I know a bit about this. I wouldn't say I know everything there is to know about it, but I know some stuff. And so there should be, I know that the stocking stuffer concept, just to sort of head this off of the past, comes from the fact that once upon a time, Ebenezer Scrooge threw a turkey at a little boy in the street, and he caught it in his sock. That's absolutely historically accurate. Lights are a pagan tradition, not in PragerU, I bet. I bet there's anything but paganism going to be appearing here. But let's find out together. All right.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. You probably know what happens next. But do you know who wrote this poem and when? Do you know where the tradition of the Christmas tree comes from? Lights on the Christmas tree, stockings, even the idea of gift giving. No.
I'm genuinely nervous about this because, I guarantee you that they're not going to actually be honest about any of this because it's PragerU and that's their jam. But I kind of like I'm worried that I'm just going to like get angry.
Holiday has a richer and more varied tradition than Christmas. So let's look into its history and see if we can uncover some of that richness and tradition. So let's look into no holiday has a richer and more varied tradition than Christmas.
No holiday has a richer and more varied tradition than Christmas. I feel like that's a bit of a stretch. Like there's maybe no white people holiday, but I feel like there's some stuff in this planet that's bigger and badder. That's okay.
So let's look into its history
What are
and
we
see
in
if we
for?
can
I don't
uncover
know.
some of that richness and tradition. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, well, at least you'll have a better appreciation of why so many people do.
While you're burning in hell.
Here's what everybody knows. Christmas is when Christians celebrate the birthday of Jesus Christ. That in itself is a very big deal. Christianity, in all its many iterations, remains the most popular religion in the world. 2 billion people follow it. Aside from its obvious religious significance, the first Christmas stands as the great divide for the recording of human history. Until
I love when conservatives talk about this. I saw it referred to recently. They're like, immigrant teen making a bed in a someone's shed gives birth. Like if it wasn't the Jesus, Yeah, Easter's more important than Christmas to Catholics. I grew up as a Protestant member of the United Church, and yeah, Christmas was a big deal, but I think Easter was the bigger deal because Christmas was more for the singing of carols, whereas Easter was all about the redemption and the power of the commitment of the Jesus and all that kind of stuff. So I would have to agree.
recently, history was divided between BC, before Christ, and AD, Anno Domini.
BCE, before Common Era, and CE, Common Era. Because it turns out that history was divided by Christians as before Christ and after Christ, which I guarantee you isn't even the thing. Because BC, before Christ, okay, that makes sense. AD, Anno Domini. Why did they switch languages? I'm pretty sure someone just fucking crib noted that shit to make it work.
Which is Latin for Year of Our Lord. Now you'll often see BCE, before the Common Era, and CE, Common Era. No matter.
I kind of want to know. Like, if they're going to be like, now you see BC and CE.
BCE, before the Common Era, and
Because the horrible secularists are trying to take Jesus out of time.
CE, Common Era. No matter, the divide is still Jesus' birth. The great kings of the first millennium.
And no, it's not, because 0 CE or AD or whatever is not the year that Jesus was born. If I'm not mistaken, it's like the lineup would be the year that he died or something like that. But yeah, just let the Christians have their Christians.
Recognize the significance of the day and attach themselves to it. Charlemagne, Alfred the Great, and William the Conqueror, among many others, were either baptized or coronated on December 25th. The idea of Christmas as a time of gift-giving also goes back to the earliest days of Christianity. The story is told that a 3rd century church bishop, Nicholas, would anonymously throw bags of gold coins into the windows of the poor. The coins supposedly landed in the shoes or stockings that were drying by the fireplace. Thus was the stocking stuffer born. After Nicholas died and was declared a saint, his popularity and positive Christmas message spread across Europe, each nation adding its own distinct contribution.
Also worth noting that a lot of them added racism. Like Santa Claus and Schwarte Piet, the horrible Moor who goes with St. Nicholas to take all the poors to, or the bad kids, sorry, to slavery in Africa. How are they going to spin the red suit? Yeah. Well, the Dutch don't have it, so it's okay.
In Germany, the winter tradition of placing evergreens in their homes took on a new significance in the 16th century when Protestant reformer Martin Luther put candles in the branches.
Okay. So I like how they gloss on. Yeah, they just had a tradition of putting a tree in their house. No reason.
He told his children the lights were like the sky above Bethlehem on the night of Christ's birth. The idea that St. Nicholas would judge whether you've been good or bad during the year stems from the book of Revelation in the New Testament, which depicts Christ returning to earth riding a white horse. In the Middle Ages,
Jesus too fucking shit up.
the legend sprang up that St. Nicholas had been chosen as the Savior's advance guard. He wouldn't come at the end of the world, but every year to check things out and give a report. When this notion
Santa Claus is big government.
arrived in Norway, it encountered a problem. There were no horses in Norway, but they did have plenty of reindeer. And of course, Norway abuts the Arctic Circle and the North Pole, so St. Nick found himself with a new domicile. All these various European traditions came together in the great melting pot of America. In New York in 1823, a professor at the Protestant Episcopal Seminary, Clement Moore, wrote a poem for his children. 'Twas the night before Christmas. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The poem caught on and became a Christmas staple every school child could recite. The holiday got another push in 1843 when the great British writer Charles Dickens published his short
Chucky
novel,
Dick.
A Christmas Carol.
Yep.
The redemption of Ebenezer Scrooge perfectly captured what we now refer to as the Christmas spirit, the idea that the holiday brings out the best in all of us. As the new century turned, Hollywood got into the act. Almost as soon as there were movies celebrating Christmas. To this
No reference to Coca-Cola. None at all. That's bullshit. Santa lives in Canada. It's been confirmed that he pays taxes here. Yeah, absolutely. Santa would live in Canada because it has the reindeer and it also has universal health care. And at his size, you know, he's got to make some choices in life, but, you know, kids keep leaving out cookies and shit. You know, he's probably a diabetic and he probably needs that sweet, cheap insulin that we here have in Canada.
day, a year doesn't go by without a new one. Madison Avenue saw a big opportunity too. In 1931, Coca-Cola hired artist
There we
Adam
go, okay.
Sundblom to create a Christmas ad of Santa Claus, which is Dutch for St. Nicholas, drinking Coke. The jolly white-bearded fellow in a bright red
Okay, you can't say that Santa Claus is Dutch for St. Nicholas because Sinterklaas is what they call him, and that's St. Claus. Fucking get your shit together, PragerU.
red suit remains the personification of old St. Nick. And in perfect melting pot fashion, Irving Berlin, the son of a rabbi, wrote the definitive Yuletide song, White Christmas.
See, even the Jews do it. What a fucking dig.
Many complain today that the religious aspect of Christmas has been overwhelmed by commerce. Retail sales between Thanksgiving and Christmas are now $1 trillion. This is not a new complaint. The Puritans refused to celebrate Christmas because they thought it trivialized the holiday's religious message. But
Thank God for the Puritans keeping us all real. Like, I wish I had that hat. Either one of those hats. Those are great hats.
this remains the minority view. Most people love Christmas and all the things, the lights, the tree, the songs, the movies, and yes, the gifts that come with it. And who can deny that people tend to act a little nicer,
Right?
a little
Not
happier
enough hats with
as the
buckles.
special day draws near. In a world that feels so divided, Christmas still unites us. For that,
Okay, I'm just saying, I don't know anything about this person, but the way that PragerU does their videos with the like backdrop cutout image of a guy in a suit, like this, it just feels predatory. Like I feel like this is a guy going, no, really, just get in the car. I have candy.
we should all be grateful. I'm William Federer, author of There Really Is a Santa Claus for Prager University. Thank you for watching this video.
We're not going to be donating to PragerU today. I don't think that's the plan, at least. Yeah, there's just not enough hats with buckles. So my family, when my kids were small, I was poor because I was paying for my kids to live far afield, and I didn't have extra money, and I would give, I was the sole source of income for my ex-wife, and so everything they got at Christmas was from me, but not really from me. And when my kids moved in with me, we were fucking poor that first year. It was very unexpected. I had been living in a single bedroom at the Beer Corps house, and which was awesome. I loved living at the Beer Corps house. It was so much fun. But then Abby was going to move to Calgary, and so there was a spare room at the Beer Corps house, and I was like, "Do you want to?" And Abby was like, "Yeah." They were all into it, so away we did, and almost immediately on their heels, Seth was living with me. And there was no extra room. So he and I were sharing a room. And that was less than awesome. Not just like the, "Ooh, I've got kids in my bedroom" garbage, but like legitimately, he was 14 when he moved in with me. Like, do you really want to share a room with your dad when you're 14 years old? Probably not. So it was very obvious. Like, as soon as I made the decision that he was going to come live with me and that Abby was also here, we needed to move into our own place. So I moved here, the studio where I record all of my stuff. And we were poor, and I didn't have money, and I probably could have made something happen, but instead I said, let's, do something. Let's make something. Let's whatever. And what I ended up doing was I wrote a letter to all of the people, like a letter for Seth, a letter for Abby, a letter for my ex-wife, et cetera, et cetera. And I just took the time to really write down my thoughts and to, make it an affirming, caring, hopeful, inspiring, whatever the case may be, but really genuinely heartfelt messages. And I have continued to do that. My finances are better these days, but I still feel that that's a much nicer Christmas. So that's what I do, and I love it. You were saying, Kitty, you were saying your family doesn't buy presents anymore. Yeah. We still buy presents. This is the first year that I've bought presents for my children, and I've only done half of them because the other two didn't fucking tell me what they want. But I think the much more important gift is the letter that I write them, and I hope that they feel the same. I don't know. If they don't feel the same, they probably will when I'm old and dead. I'm already old. When I'm dead. I shared a room with my mom when I was 8, and it was uncomfortable. I can't imagine it as a teenager. Yeah, like, I am an adult. I am sexually active, all that kind of stuff. And Seth was 14. He was at the, your body is changing and things are happening. The last thing he needs is, and I remember I came home from work one day and my bedroom door was closed, which was not uncommon because the Beer Corps house had Jack the dog who would sometimes come into my room and poo things. So I, kept the door closed, and the light was off. I just, opened the door, not thinking, and there was poor Seth, bare ass naked, lying on his bed, sheet pulled up and I feel very strongly that he did not need that in his life. So, if I hadn't already decided to move, that would have been the moment. Sharing a room is, it's super cool, but probably not, especially not for a teenage kid. So, and I also, I firmly believe that kids deserve to have a little bit of space that is their own wherever that's possible. Like, I'm not shaming people if they don't have the luxury of the ability to afford that. But I tried really hard to make my kids understand that their room was their room, and that, you know, if they close the door, you don't just go barging in. Now, they still do that because they're kids and also dickheads, but I think it's important that they have their own space, and that space is their space. I don't go into their rooms unless I absolutely have to. Even a corner with toys, that was my space for a while. Mine alone, no one else messed with it. Yeah, exactly. Like something that is their, you know, safe environment where they can have their things and have their quiet space. I think that's important. All right, let's watch the other PragerU video, because I can't imagine it being any less enjoyable than that dumpster fire of content. So this one is called Just Say Merry Christmas. And let's see what they had to say. Should Americans wish each other happy holidays or Merry Christmas? Should an office Christmas party be called a holiday party so that it's more inclusive? Dennis Prager answers those questions and more in this short video. I bet Dennis is really going to have the same kind of take as me.
The change from wishing fellow Americans Merry Christmas to wishing them happy holidays is a very significant development. Proponents of happy holidays argue it's no big deal. Proponents of Merry Christmas are making a mountain.
That was awesome. Kitty Jerkface. Garbage fire. We have so many cultures with more traditions for this season. I am already saying, fuck Dennis Prager. Yeah, the fact that it's actually Dennis Prager talking, like, I got a cold chill when I saw that. I'm like, oh no. So Dennis Prager is, you know, he's Jewish, but I guarantee you he is going to go the full fucking Tucker Carlson War on Christmas road here, just because that's that's what he does. All right, let's.
They argue it's no big deal. Proponents of Merry Christmas are making a mountain out of a molehill. But the Happy Holidays advocates want it both ways. They dismiss opponents as hysterical, but at the same time, in addition to replacing Merry Christmas with Happy Holidays, they have relentlessly pushed to replace Christmas vacation with winter vacation. And
it's true. I remember when it was still called National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation and not National Lampoon's Cold-Timey Go Somewhere Day video movie.
Christmas party with holiday party. So then, which is it? Is all this elimination of the word Christmas important?
I feel so bad for Dennis Prager. Like, you know, like I said, he is a Jewish person, and like a practicing Jewish person, as I understand things. And yet the people in his world are anti-Semites and monsters, and like not exclusively, but I mean, like, those people will be super down with the Prague, and that has to be hard. That has to be uncomfortable when you're like, you can't really like Tucker Carlson. They've got to be like friends, and yet Tucker would probably set fire to Dennis. I don't know. That's just weird.
Or not? The answer is obvious. It's very important. That's why so much.
You wonder if Ben Shapoopoo says Merry Christmas only. I guarantee you that on stream, Ben Shapoopoo only says Merry Christmas. But I guarantee you in the wild, wild world, when no cameras are rolling, he will say Happy Holidays. I remember when he had Blair. What's Blair's last name? Blair White was on, and Blair was asking, like, oh, you know, so if you were going to be meeting with me, you know, for dinner, and I was already there, you know, how would you describe me? And he was like, you know,
well, the truth is, I would probably, you know, just describe you as she for purposes of, you know, not biological accuracy, but just for expediency. But ultimately, you are biologically male,
because Ben Shapiro is a smoldering hunk of shit. Blair White is a whole other story. Yeah, don't take that the wrong way. I'm not like, and Blair White, fantastic person. But it was interesting because, again, much like Prager, Blair White is caught in a trap of her own making, where she has surrounded herself with like the very worst of people, and now she has to live in that world. And hey, Seth, you wanna fill Daddy's coffee cup up for him?
Yeah, I can refill you.
Thanks, buddy.
Welcome.
That's why you have kids. Free slaveries.
Effort.
Okay.
The answer is obvious. It's very important. That's why so much effort is devoted to substituting other words for Christmas. And these efforts have been extraordinarily successful. In place of the universal Merry Christmas of my youth, in recent decades I have been wished happy holidays by every waiter and waitress in every restaurant I have dined, by everyone who
I'm really curious where he's going to go with this.
welcomes me at any business, by my flight attendants and pilots, and by just about everyone else. When I respond, "Thank you, Merry Christmas," I often sense that I've actually created some tension. Many of those I wish Merry Christmas are probably relieved to hear someone.
Okay. Maybe you feel that way, Dennis. Maybe you feel that when you respond with a rousing Merry Christmas, that you've created tension. I don't fucking think so. Because you know what? I'm an atheist, and I say Merry Christmas, and if someone says Merry Christmas to me, I don't get a sense of agitation or anything like that. I simply get that someone is wishing me the best of the season, and if the words they use for that are Merry Christmas, all fucking right. I don't care. I prefer Happy Holidays because I do believe that there's more than just the one holiday, Hanukkah, that's happening at this time. But I'm not going to get bunged out of shape. It's just not a thing. Oh, come on, you hyperbolic pus-filled pimple. I know you're talking to Dennis Prager, but allow me to just be like, hey, that hurts.
Who feels free to utter the C word.
The C word.
But all the sensitivity training they've had.
The C word is a word for white people that rhymes with stacker.
To undergo creates cognitive dissonance.
Ooh.
The opponents of Merry Christmas and other uses of the word Christmas know exactly what they're doing. They're disingenuous when they dismiss defenders of Merry Christmas as fabricating some, quote, war on Christmas. Of course it's a war on Christmas. Or more precisely, a war on the religion.
Yes, we fabricated the war on Christmas terminology. That wasn't fucking Bill O'Reilly that invented that. It was us.
Religious nature of America. The left in America, like the left in Europe, wants to create a thoroughly secular society.
Yes.
Not a secular government, which is a desirable goal and which in any event has always been the case in America, but a secular society. Most people do not realize.
Yes, you know what? Dennis, you are right. I do want to create a secular society. That doesn't mean that I want to outlaw religions. It doesn't mean that I want to, criminalize being happy and good. It just means that I think that people should be allowed to live, thrive, and survive whether they believe or not, and whatever they believe or not. C-24, Bill C-24 in Quebec, the thing that bans the hijab and stuff for government workers. I think that's an asshole move. I do recognize that the hijab is a bit of a mixed bag. Some people are genuinely forced to wear the hijab, and it's not a manner of free expression. Other people, that is the choice that they want to make. I don't have a problem if I go to the DMV and the person answering me is wearing a hijab. Fucking, I don't care. That's not proselytizing to me. It's like, all right, that's a thing that you chose to do, or you didn't, and if you didn't, that's a whole separate problem. But all right, in the same regard, I don't care if someone has a cross. If they have a giant Jesus is Lord Trump 2024 shirt on, maybe that's a little over the line. And where that line is, I don't know, and I don't want to fucking... But who cares if they're wearing a hijab, if they're wearing a cross, if they're wearing a Church of Satan, satanic temple, whatever. I don't fucking care. Why a secular government but not a secular society? Do your thing, but don't bother me about it. Exactly, right? A secular society doesn't mean, at least in my opinion, it doesn't mean a society where religion is outlawed. It's where religion plays the necessary role of religion, which is a personal relationship with your creator, or fabricated creator. It doesn't, it's not like I'm going to stop somebody from believing in the Jesus, but they're protecting women. Eye roll. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, that really is a sticky wicket, because there are loads and loads of women in Islam who are forced into, whether through actual force or through less obvious forceful methods, are forced to comply with things like the hijab. And I don't argue that at all, but I don't think that's the point. I think having the option to wear it is fine, and if somebody is forcing you to wear it, that is a separate monster that should be dealt with in a separate fashion. Taking away the choice bothers me so much. Exactly. Like, why the fuck do I get to tell someone what they can or can't wear? How, oh conservative libertarian types, how is that fucking small government?
That the left believes in secularism as fervently as religious Jews and Christians believe in the Bible.
Oh, yes. The atheism is just another religion point. That's never been debunked at all, ever.
That's why Merry Christmas bothers secular activists. It's a blatant reminder of just how religious America is and always has been. So here's a prediction. Activists on the left will eventually seek to remove Christmas as a national holiday.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like every leftist I know. They're like, we don't want to have statutory pay on the day that you say Jesus. Like, fuck off. That is no one's end game, and I just can't even fathom why. Like, if I was gonna pick a religious day to no longer have as a holiday, Christmas wouldn't be it. In fact, I wouldn't do that. I like holidays. I have like a 2-day work week next week. I'm fucking for it.
Now, the left doesn't announce that its agenda is to thoroughly...
Oh, shut up. I love Christmas. I always have. This has nothing to do with religious tradition as much as family society tradition. Exactly. And I don't need to put the Christ in Christmas, and I don't need to, go to a church and, oh, come all ye faithful with the good people and the good voices. I can enjoy the tradition of Christmas and all that it represents in my fucking head in the way that I do. And I have no problem with somebody else doing that in a way that involves going to church or singing Christmas carols in the corner. The other day I was walking down the street, and like a block up from me, there's a lot where it looks like it's sort of green space. And there was a bunch of people gathered, and they were singing Christmas carols. And it just, I'm an old school fucking angry punk rock, secular leftist asshole. It warmed the shit out of my heart. I had no problem with that. Where I hate is, like, a couple years ago, I was walking, back when you could go out in the world, I was walking through the mall, and the Radio Shack I had to run into, they were playing Christmas carols. And like, okay, fine. They're playing Christmas carols. Couldn't give two shits. And then the next song was just straight up Christian contemporary rock praise music. That really gross stuff that's like, Jesus, you're so lovely, and I'm such a piece of genuine shit. How do you love me despite my incredible many list of shortcomings that there's no way that anyone will ever understand just exactly how horrible I am? but somehow you do. Like, that shit, that's abuse. That is abusive behavior. And that I don't do. But, oh come, Emmanuel? Fine, come, Emmanuel. Come, Emmanuel.
Secularize American and European societies. Instead, they offer the inclusiveness argument.
Ooh.
That Merry Christmas or Christmas party or Christmas vacation is not inclusive. This inclusive argument plays on Americans' highly developed sense of decency.
What are you doing,
But the
Dennis?
argument is preposterous. Who exactly is being excluded when one wishes someone Merry Christmas? Non-Christians? I'm a non-Christian. I'm a Jew. Christmas is not a religious holy day for me, but I'm an American, and Christmas is a national holiday in my country. It is therefore my holiday, though not my holy day, as much as it is for my fellow Americans who are Christian.
That is the perfect Dennis Prager answer. Like, I'm actually really fucking impressed that he was able to do that. His complaint with it is that as an American, it's an American statutory holiday, so, by not saying Merry Christmas, you're pointing out that I'm a Jew. Like, what in the fuck? You don't get upset if somebody doesn't say Happy Arbor Day, and they just say, hey, enjoy the trees. I could see you getting upset about Labor Day because of your relationship to labor, but is he a Jew with a Christmas tree? Does his rabbi know? I would bet that he's like one of those Messianic Jews that believes in that Jesus is the Son of God, but they're still Jews. I don't know if that's the case, but yeah, he's like, I want to hug him, and I don't mean hug him like tell him it's all gonna be okay. I want to hug him in my flabby folds and hold him tight until he just stops fucking kicking. I want to love him to death. Jews for Jesus. Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing. And then my uncle one day was like, have you ever heard of Messianic Jews? My uncle was my dentist at the time. So, I'm doing my thing. And he's like, you ever hear of Messianic Jews? I'm like, no, I haven't heard of that. And he's like, oh, well, let me tell you all about how important this is. And his whole thing was like, isn't it wonderful that even the Jew can enjoy Jesus and all of his magic? And I was like, what the fuck, dude? He's a born-again Christian.
That's why it's not surprising that it was an American Jew, Irving Berlin,
Oh,
who wrote
God.
White Christmas, one of America's most popular Christmas.
Okay. Equating the fact that a Jew wrote a beautiful Christmas song, and it is absolutely a beautiful Christmas song, and it was written by a person who was Jewish. Like, Irving Berlin wasn't like, I'm so moved by the beauty of Jesus' birth that I want to write a song about the beauty of Jesus' birth. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas just like the ones I used to know, right? I don't think... Let's just Google that. Let's look at the lyrics for White Christmas lyrics. I'll switch my view so that it's a little bit easier for y'all to see. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listens to hear sleigh bells in the snow. Oh, the snow. I said I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. With every Christmas card I write, may your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white. I said I'm dreaming of blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it just, repeats. So, yeah, that is exactly the most sacred and obviously religious of lyrical sets, all about Jesus. Or not. Maybe Irving Berlin was moved by the beauty of a white Christmas, referring to a snowy, beautiful, quiet Christmas night. Maybe Irving Berlin was like, I can make some money off these fools. Maybe Irving Berlin just wrote a fucking song. There was a huge talk of this on Frenemies. Ethan was so frustrated by Trisha talking about Jews for Jesus. He just said, if you believe that, you aren't Jewish. We don't think you are Jewish if you don't, ditch the New Testament. I am obviously paraphrasing. But Trisha is a Jew for Jesus, but failing her conversion classes and a Hare Krishna, so she doesn't know what she's doing. What the fuck? That's a Jew for Jesus and a Hare Krishna. That's just like all you're doing is hedging bets. At this point, you're like, and also I want to come back as a gopher, so I better be a Buddhist. And like, yeah, that's fucking weird. I don't watch Frenemies. I do watch some of Ethan's content, but I haven't really watched. I find that a lot of the time those videos are like 3 hours long, and I just don't have that kind of sit down time. And if I'm, my typical day when I go, working from home is I'll throw the old head beans in and throw on whatever's. You'll find a clip for me. Sounds good. And I'll throw on whatever's in my subscriptions. But often it's not Ethan with the 3 hour videos, unless he's got Hassan on, because I enjoy their chemistry, those two. All right, I shall continue with this obvious, awesome message that because White Christmas is popular and Irving Berlin got paid to write it, therefore not saying Merry Christmas to Irving Berlin is just another racism.
Christmas songs. In fact, according to a Jewish musician writing in the New York Times, almost all the most popular Christmas songs were written by Jews. Apparently, all these American Jews felt quite included by Christmas.
Or they recognized that the Christians had the money that they were spending on music and really had a joy at singing Christmas carols and similar types of things. And so American Jews were like, hey, I can make some of that money. Again, I don't know if that's the case. I'm not saying it is, but I'm not saying that, like, this argument that American Jews only love Christmas because it's the thing that they're included in. Like, it's a bunk argument. I'm not saying Dennis Prager doesn't personally feel insulted when someone says Happy Holidays to him, because I bet he does. I bet he's just that kind of asshole. But I don't think he's speaking for all of the Jews.
By not wishing me a Merry Christmas, you are not being inclusive. You are excluding me from one of my nation's national holidays.
You fucking idiot. By saying Happy Holidays, your nation's holiday is one of those. Also, so is the holiday that you celebrate about the candlestick thing. And if you happen to have other religious traditions or non-religious traditions, it is a celebration of all of it. It is a kind word. Saying Merry Christmas isn't going to piss me off. Saying Happy Holidays shouldn't piss you off either, you grump.
But even if Christmas were not a national holiday, I would want pilots to wish their passengers Merry Christmas, companies to have Christmas parties, and schools to continue to have Christmas vacations. Just because I don't personally celebrate Christmas, why would I want to drop the word Christmas when the holiday is celebrated by 90% of my fellow Americans?
Exactly. We largely celebrate Christmas, whether we're Christian or not, but it's not a thing. That 10% of people who don't celebrate Christmas at all, or who, that the X% of people who are within that, who also celebrate other things, why the fuck is Happy Holidays causing your fucking underwear to bunch up, you prick?
It borders on the misanthropic, not to mention the mean-spirited, to want to deny nearly all of your fellow citizens the joy of having Christmas parties.
Oh my God.
Or being wished a Merry Christmas. The vast majority of Americans who celebrate Christmas and who treat non-Christians so well deserve better.
Deserve better.
So please say Merry Christmas and Christmas party and Christmas vacation. If you don't, you're not inclusive. You're hurtful. I'm Dennis Prager.
God, the leaps that he makes, like, that's a thing of fucking beauty. To be able to find a way to, like, force your own bullshit perspective to be, like, I don't even I don't even know. I don't even know how Dennis the Brag can like, yeah, bite all of my ass is exactly right. The logical leap of turning someone saying happy holidays into it being an attack on them. Like, wow, dude, you got some fucking hard decisions ahead of you. I can't find a clip of just that. There are so many of Ethan telling Trish they're not Jewish and that she is fetishizing the religion. That's the thing. I feel like that's a fairly common scenario where, and you know, growing up as a Christian, everyone was a Christian in my universe, right? And even when they weren't, I just didn't understand that they would not be, right? Because it was everything that I knew, and therefore it's everything in the whole wild world. And a lot of my friends were the kinds of Christians who would go on Easter and Christmas, and you know, that was it, and still considered themselves to be Christian. And I felt like they were fetishizing that religion because they did none of the Christian things that I was doing. You know, I was actively involved in my church. I was a good little boy doing all of the good little boy things for the goodness of the Jesus. And they were not, but they would go out twice a year to the fun ceremonies and you know, like, you know, get the cool moment. And that's awesome. Like, but at the time I was like, that's bullshit, man. Those people are, you know, they're phoning it in. Because they are, but I think that fetishizing of religion is like a thing that is, it's actually fairly widespread. I don't know the specifics of like I said, I don't watch Frenemies. I don't know who Trisha is or Trish, because I literally watch. I've seen Ethan do a bunch of stuff. I saw his debate where he snuck Sam Cedar in. That was fucking brilliant. And yeah, it's interesting because he's been a streamer for forever, and I didn't even hear about him until not that terribly long ago. And then I think it was around the Sam Cedar thing, and I was like, "Hey Seth, this guy seems pretty interesting." And he's like, how do you not know Ethan? You know internet comment etiquette, but you don't know Ethan? What the fuck is wrong with you? And I was like, a lot, because you know, there is a lot. Bite all of my ass. I love that. That is a charming way, because like, I got a big ass. It's not a huge ass, you know. I'm still middle-aged man, so it's kind of saggy and gross. But you know, you can bite all my ass. Definitely feels like there's punch there. All right, so that was our PragerU content. I originally was like, we should watch, like, we'll see if Ben Shabibo or somebody has, but I don't want to watch Ben Shabibo today. He can bite all of my ass. I start watching H3 regularly when Frenemies was a few weeks in, came for the Trish, stayed for the Ethan and crew. Yeah, I really I like Ethan's delivery, and I like his perspectives and stuff, and the leftovers with Hassan definitely makes me want to watch more, because the interplay between those two is always really good. Trisha is my favorite trash fire. Oh, I have so many favorite trash fires. Who would be my favorite trash fire since it's Christmas? Probably Lauren Southern. I feel like Lauren Southern is an unsung hero, but like the exact opposite of that. Not a sung hero, like an unsung villain. Like, not enough people actively want to spit in her face. And I'm not for spitting in women's faces, but Lauren Southern is just such a vile creature. And then she did her little redemption arc where she was like, oh, I've been off the internet for 3 weeks and now I'm a liberal. Right. I think she just got tired. I saw somebody make comment about this recently in some content I was watching on the YouTubes. And they said something to the effect of like, she probably just got tired of the trad wife vibe that so many of the people on her side purport, especially because she's a very extreme right-wing person, and a lot of, oh, you know what it was? It was Shark Zero reviewing a discussion between Nick Fuentes and somebody else, and he was talking, I think that was the video, he was talking about how, like, it must be so frustrating to be in that world and to be, like, the difference between a libertarian and like a more like fascist and all that kind of, like, you know, the various groups, because the woman who was talking was clearly not like anybody's trad wife, but very conservative, very fiscally responsible, and very like socially conservative. But the number of men in that world that will say these dumpster fire incel-y kind of like, you know, you as a woman don't actually all the way have the same rights and things like that. Like, it has to get old. And he was like, yeah, Nick Fuentes is known as American nose picker in this house. That's fucking awesome. I can't stand him. Like, he's so uninteresting. When him and his little groiper pack were walking around at CPAC and, you know, chanting and, you know, oh, we groiped that guy, groip. Like, fuck. Touch a girl. Touch a boy. I don't care who you touch, a non-binary person. I don't fucking care. But, like, do a thing that's worthwhile. Because you're not. He just rubs me every possible wrong way. Not until he's married, unfortunately. Yes, well, that's what he says. I firmly believe, and in this video, he, the interviewer is like, have you ever had a romantic relationship with a woman? And he was like, well, no. And I'm sure that it's because, you know, in his mind, it's because he's, you know, waiting for marriage. But what fucking woman's gonna want to marry Nick fucking Fuentes? He is such a toxic little shit. And I can't fathom the idea that there are people out in the wild, wild world who are like, you know what? He might be horrible, but he's my horrible. I think you know which interview I'm talking about. Yes. It was just, it came up on my, like, I follow Shark Zero, and I hadn't watched it at the time, and then it just, I think it was this morning actually that I saw it, and it came up on my suggested, so I watched it. I have such a weird range of stuff that I watch like regularly. Where, like, you know, I watch a bunch of stuff from Hassan, and I watch The Leftovers, and I watch Fear and Molding as a result. I watch a lot of Vosh, who I know everybody hates, but I don't hate. But I also like Legal Eagle is fun. Shark Zero is cool because I like Shark's take on stuff. And I still watch the hippy dippy debates, but it's so often really frustrating to do so. And, you know, yeah, Vosh annoys you so much. I'm certainly not saying, you know, you're wrong in that. Just that, for me, I enjoy some of his stuff. I also cherry pick hippie dippy. I found that the more I watch it, the more Dylan's like solo content annoys me, because of he's sort of got this character that he's playing these days with you know, he'll be doing a React Andy or whatever, and he'll be like, and the thing is, and he gets really like fake passionate about stuff, and it's kind of annoying. And then you watch the hippie dippies, and sometimes you have really good debates, or you have moments of really good debates, but so often like I'm just terrible perspectives. Yeah, I want to like Dylan, but it's so difficult. I totally agree with that. I think he's gonna be a really fascinating human, you know, when he grows up. But I think he's stuck in this sort of how do I grow my channel? How do I, you know, proselytize what I believe and all that kind of stuff. I'm not on Twitter, so I have no idea what he's like on Twitter. I still haven't bothered with. Pardon me. I should drink some more. I did make a Twitter account once, but it was for a cybersecurity thing that it was like a practice cybersecurity thing that they would give you, like, 4 little chunks of information, and you had to go, find out what they were talking about, and then that would lead you in new directions and stuff. And it was really, really cool. Twitter's my home right now. I don't recommend. It's awful there. Yeah, that's exactly the thing, is I've always looked at it like, I'm glad there's a Twitter. I'm glad that, people have that. I just don't feel like I need it in my life. Like I took, mid-COVID, I took like 3 weeks off of Facebook and Instagram and all the other shit. And it was the best 3 weeks of my fucking life. Like, it was so calm and so lovely. And I have no idea why on earth I would need more of this shit in my life. All right, I think I'm going to take me my break. And then when I get back, we can chat a little bit more, or I can do my humiliations, whatever we're going to do. So, Mr. Music, if you would. Oh yeah, Run to You. This is sick of me. This is my Muzak version of Run to You by Bryan Adams. And I have returned. Going to Spike and Eggnog. That is a fine, fine idea. And a grand tradition for the dope. I unmuted the wrong thing. That's okay. Thank you for pointing that out, Kitty. I'm sure it was fun. Me babbling away to nobody. I was just saying I'm back. I was very enthusiastic. I was actually just saying I'm glad to see that I've got Kitty Jerkface, as well as Ice Wizards and Maddie N. Sorry. I'm assuming you guys are humans, but you never know. So feel free to say hi in the chat. Either way, I was very enthusiastically greeting you all and saying welcome back to the fine stream. So we're at that spot where I can do my weekly humiliations, or we can chat about some more stuff. It's kind of up to you, chat. What do you want to do? I could ramble about all kinds of stuff. I could talk about the world of tomorrow that I want to make happen, and I could talk about music, and I could talk about how cool Ethan is. We can do whatever the fuck you want. Ramble on. I'm free till 6. Well, I'm not streaming till 6. That's for dang sure. I got more work to do on the music video that we're working on, and also I find that 3 hours is just the right spot for me. But we can ramble for a little while. Let me look at the list of stuff I had to ramble about and see if anything jumps out. 3 hours is nice. Yeah. Right after I bitched about Ethan being, he's always making these 3-hour videos. Here, welcome to my 3-hour video. Cool, Jim. What did I have on here now? I don't feel like today's the day to do a deep dive into what semen retention is. For the record, for those that are new, I am not a fan of semen retention. I don't retain that ever. It would be better if you clip the stream so you go to what you want and see and skip the other stuff. Totally. I try and do that with mine. It depends entirely. Like a couple weeks ago, I got a YouTube community slap and was temporarily banned on YouTube for not being supportive of a father who told his Parkland shooting survivor son that he was a crisis actor. Apparently, that's the line for cyberbullying now. I didn't mention names because I don't know names. I didn't do anything. But I have a feeling like there's some right-wing chud who flagged the video, and I appealed the decision, and I lost the appeal because YouTube is stupid. And if you're watching right now, hi YouTube. It's just a thing. So yeah, where was I going with that? Yeah, so I the reason I brought that up is I was in the middle of like uploading my clipped streams, and all of a sudden they weren't uploading, and then I saw that I had a content strike, and I had three tweets deleted because right-wing snowflakes are snowflakes. I told Jordan Peterson to go back into a coma. I support the Peterson going back into a coma. However, I'm gonna do this. One sec. I gotta orchestrate. I'm sure you know what I'm doing. Right here and here, and no, that's not the right. I need that to be on. Oh, I'm gonna have to move this. Oh, not that one. God, I'm so smooth and subtle. The fuck? There we go. Okay, that's close. Okay. How do I have to have my head? Okay. Perfect. Let's fade that over.
I don't think it's very nice of you to tell me to be in a coma. Comas are not a thing that people should be encouraged to do. And I think that's the problem with the left, is that the left always wants for people to go into a coma. And that's unfortunate garbage.
Yum.ong? I have a feeling like that's spam. I don't know. Here, let me get rid of Jordan. I don't know who you are with the very Cyrillic looking name, but if you're in my chat on YouTube and you see this person commenting yum.ong or vum.ong, sorry, I don't suggest that you follow that link. Oh, YouTube. YouTube, you're so cool. I'm the one that gets banned, but, schmucks can spam. I don't know. Maybe that's a friend of mine and I just don't recognize their name because they wrote it in Cyrillic. But I feel like it's probably just something to ignore. And I'm okay with ignoring that. So, we will. Where was I going? Oh yeah, so we were talking about getting banned. I find the whole thing kind of funny. Like, I watched the kerfuffle around the banning of both Vosh and Hassan for using that hateful C word, and I talked about that. Most of the time, bans are dumb, or tweets getting reported is just stupid. Sometimes people are going to say things that you don't like. And that's all right, because you don't have to care. Right now, Ben Shapiro is tweeting things, and I don't care. I guarantee you some of them would piss me off. But here I am, not caring. It helps that I have liquor in my coffee cup. But that's not the only thing. In thick Russian accents, have Merry Christmas. Yes, have Merry Christmas. Come to a website. It's good for Jesus time. Eh? He was going nuts on Twitter. Probably too much eggnog. He's such a cretin. Like, I so don't understand. Like, I get that people have this flawed association problem that we do with our brains where, he's like, if you want to feel better, maybe try cleaning your room. And then you clean your room and you're like, you know what? I do feel better. He must be right about everything. But, that's not true. Being right about one thing and being right about another thing are different things. They don't even touch. It's just, I don't get it. I have a lot of people that I like in areas and that I don't like in other areas. I don't take advice from someone who can't even clean their own room. Right? He's probably got cleaners. And certainly during the coma time, I bet he didn't clean a goddamn thing. Jordan's neat. That whole self-help racket though, fuck me. That's some easy money. I like, anyone could write a book. I could write a book right now that's like, how to do better in life. And it's like, when you're wanting to ask your boss for more money, ask your boss for more money. And if it doesn't work, be okay with it and be like, okay, yeah, I understand, but I want you to consider that, there is a cost of living increase and stuff. You can do it. Also clean your room. Also, be kind to each other and really think about the things you say before you say them so you don't have to regret them afterwards. Like, there's my whole fucking book and now I'm a millionaire. I don't want to write a self-help book because my life is a dumpster fire. It's really not. I actually have a really good life. But, who the fuck am I to tell anyone how to live, love, and laugh, and eat and pray, and all that shit? I'm just a dude on the internet spouting my lefty bullshit. And I'm glad to do it, but here's my self-realistic life book. Yes, no one wants to read my self-realistic life book. I'll tell you that much. It's like, you should masturbate more. Masturbating is actually pretty fun. All you semen retention people, you notice how edgy y'all are? Maybe there's a correlation. Me, I'm pretty chill. I think like there's aspects of how I view the world that I think are worthwhile in terms of like, people can learn from them, for example. But like, I don't feel like that needs to be a book. Yeah, good for me. It helps with stress and physical pain. So I'll tell you a story. I get migraines. I get the brutal, brutal migraines that happen when we get the big weather shifts. And when I was like 16 years old, I had one of these. And they used to, before I understood the cause, I didn't have a cure. They prescribed me codeine pills. And I was taking fuck tons of codeine pills. And then I was like, that's probably not a good choice. So I stopped taking codeine pills. But one day I was like, I had this massive headache. I didn't want to take any pills. And it occurred to me, I was like, you know what they always say cures a headache? Orgasm. So, conscientious soldier that I am, snuck into the parents' not bedroom, oh my God, bathroom, and lay down and made myself, nice and comfy and cozy, and did a little bit of what comes natural. And at the moment of orgasm, I can only describe it as graying out. This wall of the most intense pain just hit, and my vision went like narrow and gray and then gone. And then it came back eventually, and I don't know how long I sat there lying on the bathroom floor covered in my own gross goop, but it was a while. I actually wanked myself unconscious. Obviously, it was not the wanking that was the culprit, but yeah. So only some kinds of pain could be managed that way. So yeah, change my comment to muscle tension. Oof. Yes. It's good for a general relax. If you can't have a massage, have a wank. Wanks are good. And I wonder why I get banned on YouTube. Some fucking conservative mom is gonna have their kid watch this video and be like, "Oh my word, that funny-haired fellow said dirty, dirty things to my children." And then I'll be like, "No, I'm not actually a pedophile. I was talking. It's marked as for adults only. Like, what the fuck are you doing?" But yeah, like it's the whole self-help world is amazing to me. Pretty much everything. Like, I'm amazed by it all. I actually considered for a while, because in my day job, I'm a business analyst, and my job is to look at complicated systems and come up with ways to improve them. And I was like, this same concept applies to things like political systems or social problems or whatever. And I was like, I should write a book talking about those principles and how to apply, what I do to those kinds of things. And it would be a really cool process, and I've not done it because I also feel like no one on earth would read that book. And realistically, of the few people who would read that book, no one would get out of it what I'm putting in. So I just don't. But then again, maybe I don't because I'm just lazy. Either way. See what happens when you please yourself. Yes, right? That was clearly the grand and glorious Jesus God sticking a knife into my head to stop me from spilling my seed upon the earth. I was laughing about that story, the story of Onan, the other day with my kid. I was like, it just fucking, isn't it creepy, the idea that, so Onan, his brother dies, and he is forced by God to take his brother's wife as his own. And he's like, cool, I will do that. I'll look after her. But like, it's a little weird for me to like, stooping my brother's wife, that's not all right. And God's like, oh no, you will fuck the shit out of her. To the point where Onan was like, okay, God, seriously, I'm just gonna go fuck her. And he goes into her room, and they begin the magic. And out of his guilt, which Jesus gave him, he pulls out right at the last second, squirts his poop all over the floor. Well, God is not having it because God was actively watching, and God was like, make this shit happen, Onan. I want to see some fucking, yeah, you're doing it. Call her a dirty hamster. And so God was really fucking angry that he didn't get, he wanted a cream pie, is what it is. God wanted a cream pie. And Onan, his pull-out game was too strong that day. And so God murdered him because that is what a loving God does. I'm just glad that book is so consistent. So consistently, this is what the truth is. That's the thing that fucking slays me about organized religion is like, I get it. You know, you guys, you have a faith and you have a book and you really like that book, but like, a lot of people like that book and for a lot of different reasons because there's all kinds of shit in that book. I hate when I'm watching porn and they pull out. So annoying. What I hate when it comes to the pull-out game, I have this thing about like not wanting to debase people, and I get that there are humans out there who are like, you should put your stuff all over wherever, and that's cool, but it's like that's like the thing in porn. So for the most part, when it's time for, you know, daddy to finish off, he's got to, you know, jump up and gloop all over the people that and I'm just like, really it feels mean. Maybe I don't understand, maybe I'm a goddamn Puritan, but it just feels mean. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that guy. I don't know. That's why I only like lesbian porn, like most of the conservative states. I'm just kidding. I watch all kinds of porn. Porn is an interesting, like, it's surreal to me because like the shit that is out there is so like all over the map, and there's some really, really creepy stuff that's just very normalized, like the whole stepbrother thing right now. That shit is like, you know, yeah, nasty. There are guys who learn sex from porn and wonder why people don't like splooge on them. Yeah, it's like the you know, people are learning sex from porn in the same way that people are like learning how to behave by watching pro wrestling. Like that's not the edutainment that you think it is. It's actually intended for you know, particular audience. And the whole pull-out splooge thing comes from the Puritan laws that used to be in place, and I think probably are still in place in some places, that say that like ejaculating inside a woman is illegal, so you can't do that. And certainly, I remember when the porn industry was like, oh no, we're going to use condoms because we need to promote the idea of safe sex and you know, protection against HIV. And now they're just like, condoms? We're not sailors. We're porn stars. But yeah, if you're learning sex by watching porn, then you're not learning sex. What you're learning is male gratification, because porn is almost exclusively made for men to wank to. And you know, when like my understanding, and again, I don't fucking know, but my understanding is that no one scissors. Or if they scissor, it's like 10 seconds of scissoring, and then they're like, okay, that was dumb, but let's go on to all the other stuff we can do. But there's a visual piece that works for dudes. So scissoring, that's real. And again, like, I don't fucking, I'm no expert on what lesbians do in the privacy of their own home. But I have a feeling like whatever it looks like, it ain't like what it looks like when I'm streaming it. Sex is cool. We're really hung up on it. We really like to, not a thing, very uncomfortable for non-porn. Yeah, like the sheer mechanics of positioning your bodies like that, and what I know about various lady bits, there's really no way that seems like a thing that people would be like, we should try that. I could see try, and then they'd be like, that was a waste of our time. You know, it's like when you're a little kid and you're learning, like, you know, what can I do with my body? And then you're like, well, that was dumb. Pretty much how it works. Yeah. That's, although, to be fair, if it wasn't for the concept of scissoring, There was a skater who I know Kitty Jerkface will remember from the Calgary Roller Derby Association, whose name was Scissor Me Timbers, and I just thought that was the greatest horrible roller derby name of all time, bar none. Perfect. Lamau. Do you remember Scissor Me Timbers? I do. I remember Scissor Me Timbers, and I couldn't tell you, like, if they walked by me on the street, I wouldn't know them. If they said hello to me, I'd be like, "Hey, you." But I'll never forget the name because it was brilliant. See, it's weird. Our Russian friend didn't continue to try and engage with us. It was just the one "Vum not ong." What about that? Like, what makes people think I want to click this shit? You know, like I got a friend request just this morning, Christmas morning, and what was under the tree but a fake sex bot trying to add me. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna read you this Instagram. Oh, I don't know if I can. Let me see. I blocked the person, so I probably can't anymore. But if the conversation is there, no, it's not. Fuck. I wish I could see this. So I had like the Instagram. Sometimes people follow me on Instagram. I'm not very active on Instagram, but okay, you know. And I clicked, and it said they had like a bunch of followers and a bunch of people they followed, and I was like, okay, all right. And their account was private, so I was like, okay, well, you know, like if it's public, you can look through their images and be like, oh wow, these are just pictures of you trying to make me go to your OnlyFans. Well, fuck right off. You go to my page to see pretty things. Oh, thank you, Kitty. That's awesome. I don't post much, but I do like what I post. But anyway, so account follow request comes in. I was like, sure, and I'll follow back. Why not? Maybe it's a cool person. And then I get, hello. Hi. What do you do? No, it wasn't that. It was some random question, and it was clearly like someone thought they were doing like creating a script of getting to know you questions that are not getting to know you questions. They were like all this stupid shit, and I'm just playing. Like there's a certain period of boredom where I will like engage and giggle and come up like, you know, where do you live? And I was like, I live in Constantinople. And do you like walruses? If you do that, where you have like two very incongruous ideas, a lot of the time what they'll do is they'll be like, re-ask the question. So it's a surefire way to find the spam-o-bato. So yeah, they re-asked the question, and then they were like, do you ever use WhatsApp? And I was like, absolutely. The Constantinople Ministry of Communications are the ones that invented WhatsApp, and that's the only thing we're legally allowed to use. We don't even have a phone system. And they were like, do you use WhatsApp? And I go, all the time. What bank do you use? And I literally, that was so, like, we're like 5 questions in, and what bank do you use? And I was like, does this work? Are there people in the getting to know you phase who are like, oh, that's so neat. She wanted to know my favorite color and what kind of music I listen to, and also what bank I use. There's no red flags happening here. I haven't seen many bots since Kick. I get bots like the sex bots all the time on Facebook. Let's see if I have a sex bot right now. I don't. But there was actually a point probably about a month ago where I was legitimately like, maybe what I'll do is I'll just make like an all day video where like I'll just piece it together, and every time I have a porn bot friend ad, I'll just open it up and read the details, because they're all the same. It's like, hey, how's it going? I have a new WhatsApp where hot, horny women can finally meet the men they've been looking for. You should join. And friend request deleted. It does for some people, not me, not you, but some. And that's the thing, like, I don't understand. Like, the Nigerian prince scam is still happening. People are still getting links to like, hey, I've got your free mail money here. All you need to do is verify your Amazon account. Like, I can't fathom. Don't get me wrong. I've been caught with phishing. When it's a really clever fish, I have been caught, including phishing tests that my company has run. I've been the guy that clicked the fucking link that shouldn't have. I won't pretend like I'm somehow I know cybersecurity and therefore blah. But like the obvious shit, how is this a thing? I've been watching scam baiters lately. Some of the stuff these scammers say is awful. Oh yeah, the people that call me up and they're like, "Hey, I'm calling from Revenue Canada. We're about to send police over to arrest you." And I'm like, "No, you fucking aren't. What's my social insurance number?" Before I even knew that was a scam, the first time I ever got a CRA scam call, I was living at the Beer Corps house, and my phone rings, and I'm like, "Oh, I don't know that number." Yellow. And the person's like, "Hi, I'm calling from Revenue Canada," and I do owe Revenue Canada money. I'm making payments on it and everything, but like, it would not be impossible for Revenue Canada to call me up in a pissy way. So I was like, okay, and the guys, just the way the conversation was going, I was like, this ain't right. So I hung up, but first I was like, tell you what. Your number came up as a certain number. I'm going to call that number back. And if this is Revenue Canada, then we're cool. Because I also know that scammers will, do the thing where they make it look like their phone number is someone else's. So first I went to Revenue Canada and did a little digging and looked at where the area code was supposed to be coming from and all this. And it was pretty clearly not Revenue Canada. And I emailed them and I was like, "I don't know if you guys are aware, but this is what just happened to me." And then it was like a few days later and please don't take it like, "Oh, I told Revenue Canada and that's how they learned about this." I'm sure there were plenty of people who did the same thing. But if you have my address and an arrest warrant, come and get me. Yes, I love when they're like, "Okay, I need to talk to you about, we're arresting you or whatever." And you're like, "Okay, cool. What's your social insurance number?" Surely you have that if you have the way to arrest me. "Can I get your name, please?" "Yeah, it's Joey Spaghetti." I say all kinds of dumb shit. I do subscribe to the idea that the longer you keep them on the phone, the less time they have to phone people who might actually fall victim to their bullshit. So I do that. But yeah, scammers can eat my whole ass, bite my whole ass, gnaw on the entire buttocks, both of them, because I have two. Not that it's bad if you only have one buttock or if you have none. Just I have two. Scam baiting. I've seen someone keep on the phone for 60 hours. 60 hours. Wow. I know a buddy of mine was really proud about, like, during the Nigerian prince scam, the back in the day when that was like new. And he had this poor person like running all over the place, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm sending it to the Western Union. That you're in Namibia, so let me send it to the Western Union. That this is the town you're in, so I'm sending it to the." And then he'd like send that email, and then he'd go back to work and do his thing. And a little while later, "I didn't get the money transfer." He's like, "No, I sent it to that. Hang on, I'm gonna check. Can I get you? You got to go to the Western Union office. I think there might be something wrong with your account." And just dragged it along for days on this schmuck before finally being like, "Fuck you." But yeah, that's 60 hours. That's fucking impressive. This is why it's good that we don't live in that world that we used to, where you got charged by the minute for your phone calls, because that number is not going to be on my friends and family. But back in the day, I remember the best thing I figured out was, because I take the bus. I put the Telluride phone number as my friends and family. One of the people I could call for free. Brilliant. The guy was like, "Why do I know that phone number?" And I was like, "Oh, it's Telluride. Telluride's a very close personal friend of mine. I'm thinking about doing scam baiting, but I need to make sure I have a VM and a fake number first." Yes. And probably a VPN so that they can't, track, figure out who you are. And it'd be fun to do on a stream sometime. You have one already? Good. VPNs are good. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I think it'd be a fun process to, our mutual friend, who the fuck, what was their roller derby name? I can't even think of it for the life of me. But one of our mutual friends used to post those, videos on Facebook or whatever of them stringing along scammers and stuff, and I do enjoy that. Have a few people help to keep it going. Mama Rowe, that was it. Mama Rowe, yes, Mama Rowe. Yeah, you know what? I have all the stuff that if you ever need me to join in on a stream when you're making scammers sweat, I'm more than happy to do it. I can be like the husband on the other line, which I don't even think is a thing anymore, because who has fucking landlines? But that'd be fun. And you can be more voices and characters. I love it. Yes, I can. I can do voices. I often don't, because so often the voices are ethnic in nature, and they are not insulting. But it's not that world anymore, and the things that I did when I was funny and young can't do them anymore, because I've learned that funny and young was, or funny and dumb was true, but also only funny and dumb for people who look like me. So after this, start to research virtual machines. Lol. Yeah, I know all about the world of VMs. Well, I don't know all about it, but I've, because of the nature of my day job, I do a lot of work with VMs and spinning them up using the company I work for now uses the shitty Microsoft version, but VMware is another. I actually was going to buy the VMware stack a while back. I haven't done it, but I did this project where I was documenting all of the automation and orchestration stuff that VMware provides, and I was like, this is fucking sweet. I could literally make my house almost livable if I spent the money. But that's a project for when I have more disposable income and less children in the house. But I totally, yes. VMs are cool. Like, the very concept of them is ridiculously cool, and from a dorky business perspective, what we can do with them is badass. It's just badass. All right, well, I think it's time for some humiliations. So we're gonna start with those, and I'm gonna try and do "O Come All Ye Faithful," which I'm fairly certain is the exact same song. I'm talking about the Twisted Sister version, the exact same song as where's my humiliations thing? There it is. God damn it, switching tabs, jumping everywhere. We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister. So I'm just gonna get this queued up and ready, and we'll find out if I'm right or not. So, you can't wait for this? I feel like you're gonna be like, wow, this was a bigger letdown than I expected. And because the chat switched around, it's your words are, I'm still able to see them though, because I have my chat client. So feel free to keep chatting. I will bring up my actual lyrics, the "O Come All Ye Faithful" lyrics, and we'll try this. We'll try this. Hopefully I'm right and it works. Except I actually have to press play. O come all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant, O come ye to Bethlehem. Oh shit, it's not quite the same. Oh come and behold him, born the King of angels, oh come. Oh shit. Oh, this is not working at all. Well, I guess I'll just sing some Twisted Sister. We'll start it over at the beginning, and you can pretend it was Christmassy. All right. I hope that the lyrics in the karaoke version were wrong, because otherwise there's some stupid fucking lyrics in there. But yeah, whatever. All right. Fairy Tale of New York. Not the least problematic of songs, but not the most problematic of songs. Set in a prison. I'll try and do my best. And it was Christmas Eve, babe. Oops. In the drunk tank, an old man said to me, won't see another one. And then he sang a song, the rare old Mountain Dew. I turned my face away and dreamed about you. Got on a lucky one, came in at 10 to 1. I've got a feeling this year's for me and you. So happy Christmas, I love you, baby. I can see a better time when all our dreams come true. They've got cars big as bars, they've got rivers of gold. The wind hits right through you, it's no place for the old. They'll take my hand on a cold Christmas Eve. You promised me Broadway was waiting for me. You were handsome, you were pretty, queen of New York City. And finished playing, they howled out for more. Sinatra was swinging, all the drunks they were singing Merry Christmas Arctic Corner, then danced through the night. And the boys of the NYPD choir were singing Galway Bay. And the bells were ringing out for Christmas Day. This song doesn't quite... It hits before the lyrics change. It's real cool that way. You're a bum, you're a punk, you're an old slut on chunk. On a trip in that bed. You scumbag, you maggot, you cheap, lousy person. Christmas, you're ours, I pray God it's our last. And the boys of the NYPD choir still singing Galway Bay. And the bells were ringing out for Christmas Day. I could have been someone, but so could anyone. You took my dreams from me when I first found you. I kept them with me, babe. I put them with my own. Can't make it all alone. I've built my dreams round you. But the way my PD choir's still singing Galway Bay, and the bells are ringing out for Christmas Day. It is such a pretty song with such disturbingly dark lyrics. I love that. And I have no idea if there's more lyrics coming or if that was it. Alright, chat, is there a Christmas carol you would like me to sing? I feel like that's it. Oh, come all ye faithful. Do you want me to sing the proper Oh, come all ye faithful? Because I could bring up the Twisted Sister version that's got, like, lyrics on the screen. Maybe we'll do both. Let's go karaoke. Oh, come all ye faithful. It's in the key of E. Okay, for you, Kitty. We're digging the vibe. And then I will try and sing along with, because I found like a lyric video with it. So I'll try and sing along with that. Oh, this is gonna be terrible. Oh, come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Do you see what sound happens to my voice instinctively for singing this shit? Sing hallelujah, all ye choirs of angels. Sing, all ye blissful ones of heaven above. Glory to God in the highest. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Yea, Lord, we greet thee, born this happy morning. Jesus, to thee be the glory give. Word of the Father, now in flesh appearing. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. All right, now we will go Twisted Christmas. And there is a lyric. So I'll be singing along, duetting with Dee Snider here. Oh, that's Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. That's the wrong one. It's this one. Come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come ye to Bethlehem. It's basically the same song. Sing, choirs of angels, sing in exaltation. Oh, sing, all ye citizens of heaven above. Come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come ye to Bethlehem. Lord, we greet thee, born that happy morning. Jesus, to thee be all glory give. Word of the Father, now in flesh appearing. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Faithful, joyful. Oh, come ye to Bethlehem. Oh, and behold him, born the King of angels. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Music again. That's some church singing memories right there. You and me both. It's weird how my voice instinctively goes into like church mode after all these years of being a heretic. Wait, it's coming! I mean, it is, but a little heads up might be nice.
No, we ain't gonna take it. We're not gonna take it anymore. Oh, come let us adore him. Oh, come let us adore him. Oh, come let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come ye to Bethlehem. Come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come ye to Bethlehem. All ye faithful, joyful and come on, come to Jesus. Come ye to Bethlehem. All ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come ye to Bethlehem. Come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord.
Oh, what the fuck is the band? Oh, shit. What is the name of that band? Okay, we're gonna cancel that. There's a song that I want to play. What the fuck is the name of the band? I'm gonna Google and I'm gonna go metal band fake horns. No, that's not gonna help. Got the sombrero song. It's like, that motherfucker's got the sombrero. Well, that's not it. Maybe if I add metal. This is the name of the band. I'm trying to find that. Psycho Stick. That's it. Okay. So we're gonna go with Psycho Stick. They actually have a bunch of Christmas songs. I don't think I've seen this one. So we're gonna watch Noel, which is no, that doesn't. We'll watch Zombie Claus.
It's tradition, cheer, and festivities.
Oh, wrong window. Hang on.
Charlie, I am the one. It's time for a Christmas fun. Flying through the trees, sleigh bells jingling. Sack all full of toys, bringing Christmas joy to every boy and girl all over the world. Spread season's greetings and slide down the chimneys and give all the gifts, 'cause I'm Santa Claus. Sit on my lap and tell me what you want, then I'll add it to my list, 'cause I'm Santa Claus.
Yes, this is amazing. I got to bounce for a show these guys played, and it was ridiculous.
Maker of the list, gonna check it twice, gonna find out if you're naughty or nice. Sleigh up their bounds and you better watch out since I'm coming to your town, 'cause I'm Santa Claus. North Pole dictator with elves for slave labor and AIDS, flying reindeer. I'm Santa Claus. Sees you sleeping, sees you awake. Have you been a bad girl this year? Better be good, for goodness sake. Have you been a good boy this year? Spread season's greetings and slide down the chimneys and give all the gifts, 'cause I'm Santa Claus. Sit on my lap and tell me what you want, then I'll add it to my list, 'cause I'm Santa Claus.
I'm gonna play one more after this. The band is Psycho Stick, by the way. All right. Brilliant shit. I'm gonna play O Tannenbaum. See it? It's in the style of Rammstein. Psycho Stick.
Frohe Weihnachten von Psychostein. Du grunzt nicht nur zur Sommerzeit, nein, auch im Winter, wenn es schneit. O Tannenbaum, wie treu sind deine Blätter. O Tannenbaum, o Tannenbaum, wie treu sind deine Blätter. O Tannenbaum, o Tannenbaum. Das Jingle Bells, ja, die Ort hat schon zur Weihnachtszeit. Ein Baum von dir mich hoch erfreut. Die Hoffnung und Beständigkeit gibt Trost und Kraft zu jeder Zeit. O Tannenbaum, du kannst mir sehr gefallen. O Tannenbaum, wie treu sind deine Blätter. O Tannenbaum, o Tannenbaum, du kannst mir sehr gefallen. O Tannenbaum, o Tannenbaum, du kannst mir sehr gefallen. O Tannenbaum, o Tannenbaum, das will dein Klein nicht lehren. Ho, ho, ho. It is good.
It
Mit
is good.
Schnitzel. Ja.
I fucking love that. All right. Well, that takes us to the point where we're at like 3 hours and 2 minutes of this stream. So I think it's probably time for me to like move on with my day and do all the other stuff. I gotta call my folks and wish them a Merry Christmas. I gotta call my kids and wish them a Merry Christmas because everyone sleeps late except me. Obviously, the kids that live with me, I've already wished Merry Christmas to. But there's a lot of there's a lot to do. So Merry Christmas, particularly to you, my friend Kitty Jerkface. It is a pleasure to see you. And I hope that you are well, and I hope that you are happy, and I hope that you're happy, and I hope that you have the most magnificent day ever in your whole dang life, dude. Have a good rest of your Christmas. I need to say to my Fam Jam video chat, love you much, friend. I love you too. And to all the millions and millions of people that are watching right now, of which there are millions and millions, because I am not a small streamer, Andy. I'm a huge streamer, Andy. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for enjoying the joys of the Christmas season. My many karaoke's, and yes, Merry Christmas. I will probably be back sometime between now and New Year's, and I'll probably stream on New Year's Day 1 week today. So there you go. Take care. Thanks a lot. Ciao. All that stuff.